This video is probably only relevant to those of you that watch like every week or you've been watching me for a long time. And this TJ was my third 4x4. I bought it when I was like 20 and it completely changed my life. The reason that this channel is called Dirt Lifestyle is because I bought a Jeep once and then my entire life became about the Jeep. I wanted to get an off-road rig so that I could go camping farther away, and I could go rock climbing farther away, deeper places that a car couldn't get to. So I had an S10 Blazer, and then I traded that for a K5 Blazer, and then I traded that and bought this in 2006. And this is something that I will never sell. This is something that I absolutely love. This is still my favorite rig out of everything that I've built and everything that I own. But I just got in a situation where I kept having cool opportunities put out in front of me that I couldn't say no to. And so for that reason, this just kept getting put to the back burner. And then Kelly, my buddy, needed like a really good, well-built front axle. So then I sold him the front axle, and then it wasn't a roller anymore. So, you know, and this is all after I blew the engine. So now we're in a position where I'm ready to build this thing. I'm saying no to a whole bunch of stuff next year because next year is going to be all about building out these Jeep trucks. Well, depending on when I get my Toyota Tacoma back. There might be a Tacoma build in there somewhere so we can get the re-girth started. But for this video, I want to talk specifically about the vehicle that I get asked about all the time, and that is my 2002 Jeep TJ. All right, you see those? Those are portals off of a Humvee or Hummer, like H1, something in there. These are 12K portals, and these are more than likely going to be going into the TJ. The next phase of life for this TJ, I want it to be a race car, I think. And I want portals. I'm about to do a humongous portal comparison video, which I'm going to be comparing the Hummer portals to the Unimog portals to 74 weld to all the other new portals that are on the market and share that information with you. But I can't just get the Hummer portals just for that video. I want to build something with them. And I think that the TJ is the right candidate for those portals because A, they're ultra cheap for what you're getting, and B, they're going to be able to be on a rig where we're going to really be able to push them, and there is some aftermarket support to where if we do break certain components associated with those portals, we're going to be able to have some aftermarket support to beef those things up and make them stronger in the future. Next weekend is King of LB, and I've wanted to run this race for a while, but I don't really have a vehicle to do it. This is one of my vehicles. This is a Land Rover Discovery. I love this thing. Clearly not a race car, but it fills a niche. Everything that I build, I want it to fill a niche. This is basically like an off-road RV. Between the battery system and all this different stuff that I've done to it, it is outstanding for like long or short range, comfortable camping with the family, but clearly I can't go race in it. Yeah! This Samurai is super capable. I love it. It is so fun. This is not a race car. This has got the heaviest axles ever. And I mean, with some shock tuning and whatnot, this could definitely be dialed in a way that would make it be able to take rocks at speed and whatnot, but it's not the primary focus of this. I wanted to build the ultimate slow crawler, the ultimate rock crawler. I wanted something that could be incredibly good at going slow over boulders, not go super fast around a race course. So I know that this seems like an obvious choice, but with the 43s, that puts me in a class that I probably wouldn't want to race anyway. Granted, it might do okay in a class like that because it is so light, and it does still make pretty dang good power for how small and light it is. But this is not a race car. That's not why I built it, and so I don't want to use this as my race car. This is one of my favorite looking things I've ever owned. I love this old Land Rover series. Clearly not a race car. Not only is it underpowered and way too short and not made to take bumps at speed, but it's way too classic. There's just no way I could put this on a race course. So this is gonna fill a different niche. This is gonna be a classic that I could drive around in the summertime with the top off. Something that we can go out and completely bury in snow over and over and over again. This has got its niche, but I don't have something to fill the race car niche. And with my TJ, I used to race it. Back in the day, we'd do small local competitions, and that's all I'm really interested in. I'm not interested in doing King of the Hammers or anything, at least not yet. I would just like local competitions. I don't feel like I need to do like a whole bunch of prep work. You just go run the course, you do your best, you meet a bunch of locals, you have fun, it's low stakes. That's what I want to do. But if I'm going to race, I'm very competitive. I want to build the best thing that I can to race. So even in the small local competitions, I still have a chance of maybe winning or placing at least. Now, consider Project Ultra Poror. It's like Ultra 4, but with a P, you know. I don't know, we'll see. If you're good at like design for that kind of thing, I'd love to change the Ultra 4 logo to Ultra Poror, so maybe a big P, 2 little O's and an R. The whole concept here is that I want to build something that is like an Ultra 4 like level vehicle, but I want to do it on a crazy budget, which is where those Hummer portals come in. Can we build something that could keep up with the insane IFS trucks and like these $500,000 builds, but do it for like a fraction of the cost? Considering that I bought those Hummer portals for $1,000, I'd say that's a good start. And also Hummers are IFS IRS, which is what I would like to do with this. But this is where I need a little bit of guidance. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. I've built really long wheelers, I've built really short wheelers, and to me, a race car would be in between, but on the longer side. So this was 103. And at 103, it was just long enough that I could go to places like Sand Hollow and all the steep stuff at Moab and enjoy myself, but also short enough that I would just destroy all the local trails, you know, not literally destroy, but meaning that this would do very well at all the local trails, because that shorter wheelbase makes it to where you can take all those super tight hairpins and thrive. I think that, you know, something like my wife's Gladiator at 137, too long. You get all the benefits of it floating really nice when you're going fast. I love all that. Super stable when you're climbing, but just too long. 103, too short. It's very difficult to make 103 be able to take bumps at speed and like feel very controllable. So what I think the perfect wheelbase is gonna be is like 120 inches. So right there is 120. If we have the front axle centered, that would be really close. So front axle centered there, rear axle right here. And so what that means is that we're gonna turn this into a TJ truck. I mean, if you watch the channel, you've heard me talk about this a couple times now. I've wanted to turn this into a truck for like 5 years. I haven't had the most clear way of deciding how I want to do that, but now I do. Now I've got a pretty good idea of how I want to turn this into a truck. But what I need your advice on is, do we make this an IFS IRS rig? So independent suspension on all 4 corners in order to make it to where we can take serious bumps at speed. And then with the portals, you get all that clearance of the portals plus the clearance of IFS IRS. Or do we use these portals and adapt them to some solid axles? Gotta love the strength of solid axles. We would still get superior clearance with the solid axle builds that we would do over just like 1 tons, but not like you would get out of IFS IRS. You can make a solid axle rig take bumps at speed very, very well, but it is much easier to do, and you can go a lot farther, in my opinion, with an amazing IFS system. Like my Tacoma is just remarkable in the way that it handles its speed, off-road and on-road. It's like driving a Camry on 40s. It's bananas. So that's motivated me to try to figure out a way to do an IFS IRS system in a Jeep truck. So we lengthen this back, aluminum bed. We would build a custom like top and stuff. We do cage work and all this. We would try to adhere as closely to the Ultra 4 specs as we could, but I don't plan on racing Ultra 4. I'm not a serious racer. I just want to be able to do local competitions. Even if that means local is, I get invited to somewhere in Missouri and they have some like small time competition down there. I'd love to have something that I could go do that with. So I'm looking at this as being an opportunity to something that I used to race, turn it into something that I'm going to race in the future. So would you do IFS IRS, or would you do that with portals, or would you do basically Hummer suspension and portals is kind of what I'm thinking. The way that we could get this done super cheaply, when I was looking at custom axle shafts, because I was gonna build a IFS IRS, just like 9-inch center, the cost just to build those out is crazy expensive. Then when I talked to RCV about custom shafts, they were saying to do this right and do it in a way that you're not going to destruct these things. We're thinking about $10,000 for custom shafts, for 4 custom shafts. We're talking like probably 30 or 40K in suspension, lockers, gears, all that other stuff. And that's, you know, that would be trying to use other portals and whatnot. This way, if we spend $1,000 in Hummer portals, we spend like, I don't know, hopefully another 1,000 for like A-arms and just the diffs. I don't know how much the diffs cost, but they can't cost as much as the portals, you'd think. Maybe for 2 or 3 grand, we could build out an IFS IRS system. Once we get it all cycled and usable with the Hummer stuff, then we can build our own A-arms and adjust accordingly if we need to. But I've always thought the Hummer suspension is so cool. The biggest problem is the Hummer body is like at least 50% wider than this. So if we have that really long raked out Hummer suspension, we tune it in really well with a good set of coilovers on all 4 corners, we put it on something narrow like this, I see race car. I know that for some of you might not be able to see race car, but I see race car. I think that this could have the potential to be a very special lightweight rig. I want to keep it as light as possible. So for that reason, we're gonna, well, here, let's go to the barn. I'll show you the power plant. I don't know where I put my engine. There's a lot of stuff in here, as you can see. This is the transmission. This is a Tremec 4050. It's gonna be a manual. I know racing, you'd usually use an auto, but I like the reliability and the durability and how much more lightweight a manual transmission is. I wonder if I've got that engine on a pallet up there. Ha! Yes. Okay. Engine. So that's actually 2 engines. It's a Volkswagen TDI BHW that's in there. And I've got all the Go Fast parts to make that thing work. And this is what the original idea was for a power plant for this thing anyway. I think we'll build it to where it could make like 400, 450. We'll probably, for racing, use it at like 300. If we keep this light, 300 horse and like 350 to 400 foot-pounds, if we can keep this under 5,000 pounds, what's going to be keeping us back at that point will not be power, it'll be suspension. And that's what I notice whenever I see a lot of people race. They'll have tons and tons of power, but if the suspension isn't dialed in, you still can't take hits at speed very well. So I want to focus way more on working the suspension, dialing suspension in. And with 300 horse, we should still be able to, I mean, you could probably run like a 13 or something, quarter mile. If you can do that and you can take bumps at speed and you can race well and you have a durable car, probably have a good chance of winning. So what do you think? By the way, I need to give a huge shout out to my buddy Chris Miller, who he told me he wanted to do a like budget off-road racing league a long time ago called Ultra Poror, and that's why I have the name. To give all the credit to him for coming up with such a clever name. But I feel like this meets what the name Ultra Poror really represents. I think that this would be super cool to build like a $250,000, you know, capable car. I say $250,000, who knows? For much, much less than that. I don't know, 30 or 40,000. So I just have to find all the right sponsors and try to use all the right junkyard parts and try to put something together that is like truly one of a kind and fun. Have my TJ working again. And I mean, turning this back into a TJ on 40s, I've got that Samurai, you know? I liked everything to fit a niche, and I've been wanting to build something to race with. I think that this is perfect for the race car niche. So let me know what you think. How do you want to see this done? I really respect what all of you think, because so many of you watch every week, no matter what it is that I'm up to, you're watching me. And I cannot thank you enough for all the support over the last 5 years. And for that reason, I'm saying no to a ton of stuff next year. I'm going to be just making way more content. I'm ready to get back to weekly uploads and sometimes bi-weekly uploads. And I would like to schedule more time to interact with you guys on the trail. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you're into this series. And oh, if you're waiting on the J truck, that J truck is going to be phenomenal. We're going to be starting on it again here really soon, depending on when I get my Tacoma back from the frame shop. As soon as the Tacoma comes back from the frame shop, we're going to spend 3 weeks. We're going to get that Tacoma done. And in between, we're going to be working on the J truck. And I would like to start turning this into a truck this year. And we'll probably just be working on the J truck as a badass tow truck. And this is like a badass race car. So thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.